Hello, everyone. It's Wednesday, September the 13th. Joining me today is the director of the West Virginia Fusion Center, Jack Lukehart. But before we get into all this, let me just go through, just for a moment, a proclamation that I just very, very proudly signed. A proclamation basically declaring September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. It's amazing, to be with several of the kids that have confronted this incredible killer and have done very, very well. With all that being said, at the same time, there's moms and dads there of children that we've lost. At the end of the day, this is the proclamation that I just signed. But let me just say just this. Imagine that 47 children in this country are diagnosed with cancer every single day. And imagine that one out of every 285 children in this country will be diagnosed with cancer before they reach the age of 20 years of age. Now, there's all kinds of advances, in especially childhood cancers, but cancers all across this country at every age level. But can you just imagine, if you haven't had a child that has confronted this terrible, terrible killer, how just awful it could possibly be. I ask that you give up your prayers all the time for these children. There's 75 in West Virginia or more today that are being treated as we speak. You can't fathom until you've been with just a few, their courage, their hope, their outlook. Absolutely it is humbling beyond belief. The word I kept saying, to myself and to them was inept. And that's how you feel. You feel like they are really pulling the rope like nobody's business. And you absolutely have been blessed that you have not had to encounter this terrible, dreaded disease. And at the same time, you feel honored to be able to be with these kids. And so a great day for me. This little kid, this print's pretty small for my eyes. Now, can you imagine a little kid that's 12 years old? Her name's Maggie. And she came up and read this entire proclamation. She's been a cancer survivor now for, I think, her mom said 10 years. So with all that being said, please continue to offer up your prayers. I do believe we're on breakthroughs that we can maybe within the next very few years, we can say goodbye to this dreaded, dreaded, dreaded killer. I talked to a mom that, was talking about her daughter that she lost. I think her name was Katie, and maybe she was 14 years old. And what she wanted more than anything, in many, many ways, and I could be wrong about this, but let me go back. What she wanted, and then there was another lady, and she had lost little Ellie. And what she wanted was the same, and it was just echoed all over the place. She said, while we've lost Katie and we've lost Ellie, We absolutely want, because what they would have wanted. I mean, gosh, dog, this is unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. But what they would have wanted was breakthroughs so that others could be saved. Well, like I said, an incredible day in my life, and I'm very proud to have been able to be with these children and with their parents and with those that have lost loved ones. But I ask that you'll please be aware. Be aware that there's folks that are really suffering, and they need you. And be aware in your prayers for them for cures of this terrible, dreaded disease. But absolutely, in my opinion, all I ask is that you let these folks know that you know what they're going through, or you feel some part of what they're going through. Don't forget them. Don't forget them. This is absolutely tough beyond all comprehension in my book. So God bless each and every one of them. It's a real honor for me to absolutely be with them, and I'll surely keep them in my prayers and try to do any and everything I can possibly do to help. Here's another tough one. We just very, very recently lost a 25-year-old hero, a National Guardsman and everything. He was Specialist Corey A. Moore. He was a soldier assigned to the West Virginia National Guard 821st Engineer Construction Company. He passed away from a motor vehicle accident on the afternoon of September the 10th. He'll be surely missed by many, many, especially his family. And so please join Kathy and I in prayer for this American hero. And that's how I view each and every one of them. So thanks again. And Corey was a native of Beckley, West Virginia. I guess he grew up in Summersville, in the Summersville area, or was, headquartered in Summersville. But there you see him, and Corey will surely miss you, and our prayers are surely with you. Today I announced the appointment of a great friend, somebody that I've known for a long, long, long time. His name is Jeff Campbell. He is replacing, another good friend, Mike Honecker, and Mike, took a job with us, with the West Virginia Department of Homeland Security. Mike was a delegate from Greenbrier County, and so we replaced him. Jeff has been a delegate before, and I had the opportunity now to appoint Jeff 2 times, and I feel like I was right the first time, and I feel like I'm right now. So Jeff, just do the job, and I know you'll do a great job, and just keep up the good work. Now, Jack Luckhart is going to come on and talk to us about something that is unflat believable, and that is the human trafficking and how we can do at least our part to try to stop it. But Jack, if you could come on and talk to us, please do.
Thank you, Governor. In keeping with the Governor's vision to utilize every resource that we can possibly find to help to protect the citizens of our state and our state, these ladies beside me are the human trafficking analysts for the West Virginia Fusion Center, Miss Sammy Dow and Miss Paula Yount, and their day-to-day duties are to seek out victims of human trafficking and those people engaged in human trafficking and human smuggling. And as a result of that, they created this initiative, and it is called the You Can Initiative, and You Can Stop Human Trafficking, one victim at a time. This initiative is aimed at bringing awareness, education, and resources to individuals regarding human trafficking. Human trafficking is one of the most underreported, under-investigated and under-prosecuted crimes all over the United States. And as a result of that, these ladies created this program to bring that awareness to our state and also educate our law enforcement, our prosecuting attorneys, and any other elements of society that would want this education. Thank you, Governor.
No, thank you, sir. And Jack, thank you for the job you do every day. You do great, great, great work, and let's just keep at it. Let's just keep doing every single thing we can possibly do to help, and just keep up the great work, Jack. I promised you this. I promised you that we would not quit until we got to the finish line. But we got water flowing in Peyton City, and yesterday I approved the DHHR, approval really to request to lift the do not consume notice for consumers of the Peyton City water works, meaning that the residents can now start using the water, and I salute, like I said, the tireless work of DHHR, the DEP, the West Virginia Division of Emergency Management, and all the folks in the Peyton City area that really helped us pull the rope together and get across the finish line here. We were not going to just we're not going to sit on our laurels and just know everything's in great shape and everything. We're going to continue to work this problem and everything, but at least we've gotten across one finish line here. So water back on in Peyton City, and or water now the do not consume notice has been lifted. So that's good news. Here's some other good news. The Teacher of the Year and the Service Personnel of the Year were announced, just last night. Our Teacher of the Year is Sharon Cole. Our Service Personnel, Person of the Year is Gary Bridey. And if I could tell you just a little bit about him, Sharon's 34 years old. She's a veteran educator of the second grade at Sarita Canova Elementary. First time ever we've had a Teacher of the Year from Wayne County. Awful good stuff. I'm not going to go through, all the other stuff, but she's a superstar beyond belief, and at a great, great elementary school. And Sharon, we're really, really proud of you and happy for you. As far as our Service Personnel Person of the Year, it came from Cabell County, and that's and Gary is a school bus driver there. He's been held this position for 12 years. I really, truly believe that we all, every single person in our school systems and everything, from the top all the way down through every level of everything, pull the rope together. That's what we do. And the impact of our service personnel on our children make them learn better and make them more comfortable in the school environment and everything. I just can't thank you enough. Gary and Sharon, way to go. Great, great, great work. And I know that everybody's really, really proud of you. Okay, on Monday, I spoke at the annual Governor's Conference on Tourism at Canaan Valley. Now, get this. I announced that West Virginia has officially seen the best tourism year in the history of this state, with an economic impact of $7 billion last year. The number represented a 17% increase in visitor spending versus the pre-pandemic years and everything. And in the same comparison to the nation, the number of the nation's increase on a pre-pandemic year was 1%. We were 17 times greater than the nation's average increase. Now, when it all, boils right down to just this, here's the thing, when I got here, I really, truly believed that all we had to do was turn ourselves loose. That's all we had to do. We had 4 of the most incredible seasons on the planet. In fact, in one of the debates, here's what I said. I said, close your eyes. Close your eyes and imagine a place that has 4 of the most incredible seasons that you could ever imagine. Imagine a place that abounds in natural resources off the chart. Whether that be coal or oil or gas, but it could also be water, timber, whatever it may be. Imagine a place that has its people. Its people are its treasure, faith-based, good people, community-minded people, craftsmen. And then imagine a place that is located within a rock's throw of 2/3 of the population of the country. Now open your eyes. Open your eyes, and that place is West Virginia. We didn't need to be in a race with Mississippi to see who was going to be dead last and everything coming or going. Open your eyes, and that place is West Virginia. And so in all of that, we became proud of our own pond, and we took off. We put real dollars behind tourism, and the legislature was kind enough to go along, and we took off. We put real dollars in our state parks, and we took off. And before you know it, of all things, and forgive the slang, but who would have ever thunk it? Who could have ever possibly thunk it that West Virginia would be the feature in worldwide travel magazines? That's the place to go to. That's why these numbers are what they are, because we believed in ourselves. I salute Chelsea Ruby and all the work and effort that she and all of her staff and all of her folks have done here. More than anything, I salute our small businesses all across the state that have absolutely stepped up in the tourism world, and I would tell you just as well as I know my name, we are still only getting the parsley around the edges of the plate. There's meat and potatoes to come. If we absolutely don't get in our own way and we continue to absolutely flaunt how great this state is and the tourism opportunities, more and more and more people will come, and they will spend more and more and more dollars in West Virginia, and the multiplier effect of the dollars that we put into action and everything will dwarf what will really come into this state. So congratulations in every single way. 53,000 West Virginians work in the tourism industry today. That's 1 in every 16 jobs. The more we put into this, the better it gets. So absolutely, congratulations to all. It was a big, big, big honor to be at the conference, and and so we really enjoyed, and it was a long drive, but it was really good, really, really good. I got to brag a little bit on a kid, from Martinsburg that played, was at West Virginia, in the game, this past weekend where we were victorious over Duquesne by the score of 56-17. This kid, Hudson Clement, was Clement. I'm pronouncing it, wrong, I'm sure, but he had an incredible game. He had 5 catches, 3 touchdowns, 177 yards. Only 2 other players in state history or in the program history have exceeded 175 yards. They're pretty dadgum fancy Dan names in my book, Tavon Austin and Stedman Bailey. So incredible receivers. And so Hudson, congratulations in every way, and congratulations to the Mountaineers. Nice win. Marshall University won a gigantic game and everything, beat East Carolina 31-13. I was worried early on, we were behind, and then we, finally caught our wind and right on by East Carolina we went. it's a great big win from the standpoint of, you got to remember when the plane went down, we were on the way back from the East Carolina game, and I was in the dorm. Kathy was in the dorm not very far away from me in Twin Towers. At the time, I was in a dorm, it's now Holderby, I think, but I was in the South Hall. And so a lot of really, really good friends. And so, we congratulate Marshall again. We congratulate Coach Brown and Coach Huff and, on their wins. And Marshall will be teaming it up against Virginia Tech this weekend. And we need them to take care of the Hokies too. So great wins, guys. I've got Dr. Marsh on. He's going to update us on COVID.
Hi, this is Clay Marsh, and it's always great to join the governor and the press brief. And it's important to note that I'm doing this update on September 12th, 2023. And it's really exciting that we are getting clarification this evening on the specific recommendations for the new COVID shot that is coming out. The Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, which is a committee that helps advise the CDC director, is really the final sign-off after the FDA did their approvals yesterday for the new COVID shots. And the recommendation of the advisory committee was to make the shots available for all Americans 6 months and older. And that's really exciting because we know this particular shot, which is designed to target the most common variants, the most common forms of COVID-19 that are circulating right now, and have a lot of really effective immunological activity, stimulating people's immune system to reduce the risk of getting infected with COVID, significantly reduce the risk of getting really sick with COVID, and also reducing the risk by about 50% of developing long COVID. So there's a lot of excitement about this new shot because it is going to be able to address all of the circulating variants of COVID-19. And it's important to note that because there is a clear rationale for not only to suggest that people who are in the highest risk categories for getting severely ill with COVID-19, people 65 and over, or people who have immune problems, either related to genetic diseases or more likely related to treatment of cancer or treatment of other kind of immune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis or lupus or Crohn's disease or other forms of inflammatory bowel disease. People who are older and people whose immune systems are not normal are at the highest risk of severe disease. And that's important because we've seen about a 16% increase in hospitalizations over the last week or week and a half. And also we've seen an increase in the number of deaths from COVID-19. Really important to realize the deaths and the hospitalizations are still much, much lower than during the peak of the COVID problems. But we are seeing the number of infections going up. We're seeing wastewater levels of COVID in wastewater, which is a way that we can measure how much virus is in certain communities. That's going up. So we know that we're seeing a slight surge, a slight increase in the risk of spreading COVID-19. So the timing of this new COVID shot could not be better. It's also important to realize that thinking about children, young children, adolescent children, and young adults for the COVID vaccine is also really important. The COVID shot is really important because these are people who can get sick from COVID-19, and we know that even though a lot of people in America have immunity now, these newer forms of COVID-19 are spreading because they escaped the immunity that we have had. So the updated shots are going to be able to give us new and better immunity. And even though young people rarely die of COVID-19, it is a cause of death that is still important for parents of young children. And we also know that long COVID, which happens to about 10 to 15% of people that have been infected with COVID-19, and the risk of long COVID goes up the more times you're infected, that the group of people that are the highest risk are the 30 to 45-year-olds. So it's really important for all age categories to consider getting the updated COVID shot as part of your protection against death and illness, but also against long COVID. It was just given to me that the director of the Centers for Disease Control just signed off on those recommendations. So those will be the recommendations. Remember, as you are looking to see if you're eligible for a new COVID shot, please don't hesitate to visit our vaccine calculator at vaccinate.wv.gov, which is updating even as we speak with the newest recommendations from the FDA and the CDC. And also check with your local pharmacies or your medical practices to find out when the vaccines will become available. They are the new updated shots are being mailed to hospital practices, to clinics, to county health departments, as well as pharmacies in the next several days. So people will have access to the updated COVID booster shots soon, and go to the vaccination calculator to see if you are eligible. But again, for all Americans over 6 months of age, the new COVID shot, the updated shot, is now recommended by both the FDA and the CDC. So go out and get a shot, protect yourself, protect your family, protect yourself not only against COVID and its severe potential manifestations, but also against the chronic problems that you might run into with long COVID. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Dr. Marsh. And I guess that's all we've got, and we're ready for the questions.
All right, thank you, Governor. We'll now go to questions. First today from Mark Curtis with Nexstar Media.
Good afternoon, Governor and staffers and fellow reporters. Governor, 4 members of the legislature, they're all Democrats from Monongalia and Marion County, sent you a letter yesterday requesting a special session of the legislature to deal with the financial problems going on at WVU. The Kanawha County Democratic Executive Committee issued a 3-point statement last night, basically asking that the cuts be averted, that no layoffs happen, no programs be canceled, and that the legislature fully fund WVU with this $45 million shortfall. What are your plans to address any of this? What are your concerns about the shortfall at WVU? And could surplus dollars, since there's $2 billion in surplus, could surplus dollars be used to fill that $45 billion gap, million dollar gap?
Well, Mark, here's my feelings. My feelings are absolutely this. You know, I'm welcome. I'm welcome to ideas. I do not think there is an appetite from the standpoint of the leadership in the legislature at this point in time to basically bail out, you know, WVU. I think the situation is that first and foremost, we at least at this time need to be there, in a backfall situation. But at the same time, what we really need to do is let WVU have the time to get their house in order. I mean, there is absolutely no question that what has happened is some level of bloating. in programs and things that maybe, just maybe, we ought not be teaching at WVU, but with all that being said, I have all the confidence in the world in President Gee and the Board of Governors that WVU will get their house in order and everything, and we'll move forward. The problem with using one-time money, is we can maybe help a situation for one time, and then what happens is, if the house is still not in order, the house comes tumbling down in the years to come. So let's give them time. Let's let them know that we're standing in the wings, and we're going to always be supportive of our great university, but they need to get their house in order, and we need to give them time to be able to do just that.
All right, thanks, Mark. Next, we'll go to Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Governor, the other day during the Joint Finance Committee, Revenue Secretary Hardy talked about the first couple months of the fiscal year and our severance tax collections. He said they had been disappointing. I was wondering if the current severance tax collections and the projections for this year have changed your position on pursuing further tax cuts. I know previously you had told me you would be supportive of not waiting for the triggers in our tax cut bill, depending on what our financial outlook looked like. Now that we have a better idea of the severance taxes we are going to collect this year, has that changed your thinking on further tax cuts at all? Thank you.
Charles, I don't think so. But at the same time, everyone knows me. I'm a business guy, and from that standpoint, that's why we went at this approach slow and easy. We know that severance tax collections on our fossil fuels and everything is going to be cyclical. It always has been, but with all that, what did we do? We did this in a managed way, and triggers are not based on severance taxes, how severance tax moves, but we did this in a managed way that was prudent and safe, and that's proving right out to us right now. Now, Charles, I do think, and I think Secretary Hardy would have said exactly just this, I do think we're still going to end up with an incredible surplus by the end of the year. Now, whether that surplus is $200 million or $400 million or possibly even $500 million, whether that surplus is any of those levels compared to the day that I walked in the door here and we were scrambling like crazy, and we would have been so delighted if we could have had a zero, just a zero, not a deficit, just a zero. And what we did here was we put real live money back in the hands of West Virginians. The largest tax cut in state history. We put $750 million right back in the pockets of West Virginians. They'll spend it here. And absolutely, it was the right move. And we want to continue down the pathway to do more, but we want to be smart with it. And so time will tell. Time will tell. But I still stand by it as a great move. And as we go forward and everything, we want to continue to try to put every dollar we possibly can right back into the pockets of West Virginians. Anybody that doesn't believe in tax cuts, doesn't make any sense to me. We need to absolutely be prudent, and that's what we'll be. I'm a business guy.